Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So I wanted to make a very short and quick video, mainly to get the ball rolling in a sequence of videos I would like to make. I write over here Science of the Soul, and what I want to speak about now is that, firstly, there is such a thing called the science of the soul. It is a meaningful science, it is a real science, and it is the first foundational and foremost science upon which every other science rests. That is the science of the natural sciences, whether it is physics, chemistry, biology, or even the practical sciences, whether it is the science of medicine, the science of law, the science of warfare, the science of martial arts. Science, in its original signification, refers to an organized body of knowledge. So to understand whether there is a science of the soul, whether science is theoretical, whether it can be practical, whether science needs to even be written down or organized, whether there can be a purely intuitive science, whether there can be a science known to the body. Well, all these questions return to understanding what knowledge is. And in a sense, this entire science, the science of the soul, is the science of knowledge. And that's why, having understood that, this is the first science. Because every other science which exists, any science which can possibly be, must rest upon this first foundational principle to know. Because everything is knowledge. Everything. Now, we understand that there can be such a science as biology because there are cells and we have microscopes we can see these cells. We understand that there is such a science as physics because the things physics deals with, ultimately matter and energy, we see before us. We see it before us. Not just that, the reason why we believe in these sciences is not really because we believe in atoms. The truth is we say we believe in atoms. Most people say they believe in this and that, they believe in gravity, they believe in special relativity. Most people can't even define what these things are. People claim they believe in these sciences, but they don't know these sciences. That's not why you believe in these things. Really, you believe in these sciences, you believe in physics, you believe in Newton, you believe in Einstein, because you see the effects of this science, that is the modern world. Behold, technology. The very computer you have before you is the most manifest and consummate proof of electricity that there could possibly be. The fact that you have a mobile phone which works, you have Wi-Fi, you have the internet. What more proof would you need of the veracity of electricity, or the veracity of digital media and communication? You directly experience it. That's why you believe in these sciences. And that is the science of the soul. Yes, we can speak, and to some degree we will speak of the structure of this science, the nature of this science, the theories of this science. But ultimately, we know a thing by direct experience. For better or worse, we are very immanent beings. Just as you know that physics is real, not because you know what an atom is, you have to believe in atoms and you believe in quantum fields and so on and so forth, but because you see what physics does before you and you live it. So the science of the soul is real. It is a real science. Why? Because you shall experience it. Because you shall experience the soul. Because the soul, but by the soul we mean the self. The self in the deepest possible sense that you can conceive the self to be. It is said that the axiom of the ancient Greeks, but really and truly, the axiom of every ancient civilization, of every true philosophy, of every wisdom is this: know thyself. To know thyself is the beginning of knowledge, because if thou knowest not thyself, thou knowest nothing. That is, all knowledge is predicated upon a knowledge of the self. Yes, you see through the microscope, you see cells. Yes, you conceive these mathematical theorems of physics. Yes, you do all these things, but only because it is you who sees. Before you can understand what you see through the microscope, you have to understand vision itself. Have you ever thought of that? Before whatever you see, you need to know how to see. But the thing is, it's so intuitive, we never think of it. But you know it. You know how to see, wherefore you see. Wherefore you can observe and study and create scientific theories. Before all things, you must know how to be. Because every verb you do, whether you eat, you walk, you sleep, you see, you study, you observe, or any verb you see being outside of you, whether it burns, it blows, it flows, whatever occurs around you or within you, every verb is predicated upon, rests upon, the fact that you are. You eat, you sleep, you do, because you are. You act because you are. Before every verb, or rather beneath every verb, inside of every verb, is the verb is, to be. That is the soul. That is why the science of the soul is the foremost science, the first science, the most real science, because more real than any act, than any verb, any action, any process, anything you perceive, more real than fire which burns you, more real than the most felicitous pleasure which you seek or feel, more real than the sky which is blue above you, or the earth which is hard below you, more real than your body which rests and runs, more real than every sensation, is the reality that you are. Because if you were not, you would not feel, you would not do. If every science is dealing with some process, some activity, the science of the soul deals with the ground of all processes and activities. If every science rests upon the foundation, or studies rather the principle of some verb or some noun, some thing, some doing, some happening, the science of the soul studies what the ground of everything, the ground of every ground, that which is before all of your senses, all of your perceptions, all of your knowledges, that is yourself. That is the science of the soul. And in the upcoming videos I shall elaborate this science more. That this not only is the first science, and the foundational science, not only from a theoretical perspective, but this is the highest science because it's a science which deals with you. The fundamental questions of life are I questions, me questions. More fundamental, more real than the beginning of the universe is the beginning of you. If you had to, would you rather know where the universe came from or where you came from? Yes, many people might say they're more interested in the universe, not interested in themselves, but the truth of the matter is every single person will choose themselves. Because we are egos, we are selves, we are I's. Nothing is more important to me than myself. Nothing is more important to you than yourself. And if you say, no, I love my child more than myself, that's because you see yourself in the child. The child has become yourself with a capital S, no longer the dross of this material frame and body. All these things and more all pertain and return to the science of the soul. The questions of happiness, the question of meaning, the question of purpose, the question of how to confront and deal with unfathomable suffering and pain, and terror and fear. The question of how to cure ourselves and heal ourselves all returns to the question of how to be. I believe it was Nietzsche who said that he who has a why can bear any how. That why, that ultimate why, is the preoccupation of every human being. Because that ultimate why relates upon to the meaning of this penultimate I. And that is what the science of the soul deals with. So whether you know it or you know it not, for all your life you have been seeking this science. Because remember that a science is not merely a theory, but theory in Greek means vision. It's to see, and seeing is believing.